What up, homies of the internet? This is lugnuts.guapo coming at you from Maverick, Harley-Davidson, and this is the one and only XR1200, which they don't make anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Awesome motorcycle. I did a video once, and I'm going to do it again because the audio is jacked up on the first one, and hopefully this time around it's better. So, yeah, roll the tape. Sweet. Alright, so XR1200 key right in the front, much like a Sportster, because that's what this is, a Sportster. Right off the gate, man, look at this. Got a little miles per hour on this side, RPMs right in, just smacking your face. This thing barely has over 9,000 miles. That exhaust sound good. Oh, maybe we should adjust this thing where it's pointed at my face. That looks about right. Alright, let's do this. Now, so much like a 1200 Sportster, you got your 5-speed transmission, Evo type motor, but when this came out, it had different cams, different gearing, all that jazz, inverted front suspension, much like the Roadster that I shot the other day. Now, I will say, turning on this thing feels a little weird at its slow speeds because of the inverted suspension. So any bike that has inverted suspension, whether it's a V-Rod or, Roadster, anything with inverted front suspension, the forks are so beefy up top that there's only so far that you can turn before it stops. So that's a little weird, but not to worry, because this thing leans like a boss. Yeah. This bike is so exciting in so many levels. Just like wanting to, like it just wants to lean, leaning into curves and whatnot. I don't have to be stuck behind this car. So, man, I'm so excited. Just the way that this motor behaves is just incredible. Now, it is kind of the same motor as the Roadster that I rode, that I did a video on recently, but this is much refined. At least it feels that way. And what do I mean by that? The vibration, the sounds are not quite the same. And this one has a really intricate, and when I say intricate, it's comparing it to the Roadster. The intake on this thing is right underneath the tank, and it's it's awesome. Oh man. Woo. Railroad tracks, and oh, that suspension, man. Alright, so what else? So we have that special intake underneath the tank. We have different cams, all that jazz. Now, taking into consideration that when this bike came out, the compression ratios on the pistons were like 9 and some change, somewhere around there, and these were 10-to-1. Big deal when this bike came out, but the new bikes, the new Sportsters, guess what the compression ratio is? You guessed it, 10-to-1. So I will say, I know the previous owner changed the gearing a little bit on this, and it's amazing. And I really want to open it up, just want to make sure that I'm somewhere in Mexico. Oh, up in the 4s to 5s. What up, me? Up in the 4s and 5s, this bike is so happy. I mean, this thing, obviously, there's not a lot of good twisties around here, so the few that I have will have to do. Leaning from one lane to another. Oh, man. This is as bad as the review as the last one. I didn't really say much. So, I'm going to try and cram as much information as I can. So, the seating position is really good, actually. So, if I were to compare this to any other bikes that Harley still has in their lineup, would probably be the Roadster and the Street Rod. Now, obviously, Street Rod is a lot more, it just feels crammed in, your knees are higher up, the bike's it's smaller, and it's also lighter, so off the line, it would beat this bike by maybe by a second or something like that, quarter mile, whatever the case may be. But this absolutely out-handles that Street Rod. It absolutely does. It's a better seating position and handles better, but again, that Revo motor, man, you can't. That's a high RPM. I mean, it's a basically a V-Rod motor. So between these two, I really like the Street Rod, but you can't go wrong with a Sportster. You just can't. This bike is incredible. Now versus a Roadster. Oh, the wheel came off the ground! Yep, that definitely did not happen when I did the video on the Roadster. So between those two, this right here, my friends, is the one for you. It looks fantastic. I mean, it's a nice little tribute to the old 750s. Old Ironhead 750s, not Street Rods. Or Street 750s, but this is an amazing machine. It definitely was built originally for the European market, then later came to the US market, from what I understand, because I didn't work for Harley-Davidson at the time. From what I've heard, they didn't really sell that many of these, so there's not that many out there, and a lot of people say that this is a collector's item. Is it? Well, I don't know. It's for me. These test rides never last long enough, man. Anywho, probably not enough information for you. It handles great. It's an amazing bike. I'm curious to see how the Street Fighter is going to compare to this whenever the Street Fighter comes out in 2020. It'll be an interesting comparison because they're both meant to be performance-oriented motorcycles. So, yeah, Street Rod, Roadster, the Street Fighter that's coming up, and this. So far, because the Street Fighter it's not out yet, so far, this takes the ticket. So it's this, the Roadster, and then I'd probably put the Street Rod last as a performance bike. This thing is incredible. So let's get it squeezed between here and put this bike right where it belongs, on the showroom floor. Anywho, check us out on Instagram at MavHarley, MAVHARLEY, and on Facebook as Mav Harley-Davidson. Subscribe. Oh, this is the other thing that's kind of annoying. Right there. It's like awkward positioning, but it's better than that Cafe Racer one that I did the other day. And that is that. So, bye-bye. In the meantime, get on your Harley and get some wind therapy. Later. Got the sales meeting going on. Granted, I'm not in a sales meeting, but I got to write that right there. Woo. Anywho, also check us out on SoundCloud and on